Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today, with a little help from Buitoni, who is partnering with me on this video, I'm going to show you how to make the crispiest toasted raviolis that you've ever seen or heard for that matter, paired with a from scratch tomato jam that's absolutely divine. So without further ado, let's get into the recipe. Okay, so normally I would have to think way ahead of time to plan out this recipe, but since I already have the freshly made ravs from Buitoni, makes life a whole lot easier. It can afford you the chance to make some really killer dipping sauces. In this case, a stellar sweet and savory tomato jam that is absolutely one of my faves. So first up, get a few vine-ripe tomatoes and put them onto a tray and broil them in the oven until the skin starts to peel and char up a bit. While that's in the oven, peel and finely chop up the fresh shallots and garlic. As a note for this, it's better to be a little generous with the garlic and shallots in this, since they're going to lend a big hand in sweetening the jam, so don't be shy. Once everything is all chopped up, you're going to add some olive oil to a saute pan that's on medium heat and begin to sweat the shallots and garlic for about 5 minutes or until they start to turn a bit translucent. Just make sure you turn down the heat after you add them to the pan, otherwise the garlic might burn. After that's all done, the tomatoes should be ready to go, so alongside that you can start carefully peeling, de-seeding, and chopping the roasted tomatoes so that you can then add them to the pan as well to cook down. Once all the chopped up roasted tomatoes are in the pan, you're going to give it a good stir. Then you're going to add in the apple cider vinegar along with the sugar and some herbs. Here I have some basil and thyme, and I'm just going to kind of rip it into the sauce. Then you're going to continue to cook this down for about 20 to 30 minutes until it becomes thick and almost jam-like. Now that the tomato sauce is on the stove, it's time to start breading the Buitoni ravioli. So one of the tips I like to give is to make sure you season and blend it down a bit in a food processor in order to get a more even textured breadcrumb and flavor throughout the mix. Here I'm going to use some panko breadcrumbs, which tend to be a little too coarse for me when it comes to this type of application. So running it through the blades a few times will help get the texture to be a bit more fine, and FYI, I'm seasoning it with some salt, pepper, and rosemary just to make it pretty simple. Next up, I'm going to take my Buitoni ravioli out of the package and lightly coat them in a dusting of flour to aid in the breading process. Without this coating, the egg mixture will likely fall off, and so will the breadcrumbs. So once the raviolis are coated, crack a few eggs into a mixing bowl along with some milk, salt, and pepper, then begin the breading process by working in batches. All right, so for the 3-stage breading process, the raviolis are gonna go first into the egg mixture, then into the breading mixture, and finally onto a lightly floured tray so they don't end up sticking to each other. As a side note, these are much easier to work with than fresh pasta, in my experience, since they have a really nice firm texture, and you will not have to worry about them falling apart when handling. Trust me, it's a huge bonus when it comes to breading pasta. Once the raviolis are all breaded up, it's finally time to fry up these bad boys. So make sure you have a large pot filled about halfway up with veggie canola or safflower oil and bring it to around 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Start frying the raviolis in small batches so you don't overcrowd the pot, and also make sure you have a tray with some paper towels ready to go when you pull them out. They should only take about 3 to 4 minutes to toast up. Once they're all ready to go, plate them up on a nice wooden serving board, add a little dipping bowl on the side for the tomato jam, and then you can shave a generous amount of fresh Parmesan cheese over the top, and enjoy the crispiest raviolis you may ever have. All right, guys, so the toasted Buitoni raviolis are done. I'm very excited about these. It's been quite some time since I've made some toasted raviolis or fried crispy raviolis, however you want to call it. And these look fantastic. Very crispy on the outside. I already tasted like 2 of them, and it's just kind of like, it almost has a like chip crunch to it. But it's just loaded with like cheesy goodness. So anyways, let me dive into it and tell you guys the flavors. Oof, the sticky tomato jam. It's different than marinara. You know, it kind of has that nice kick of sweetness and maybe a little bit toned down on the acid. So you're really getting a really nice kind of salty, sweet combo going on. So, okay, let me do it. Wow. This is perfect with the toasted raviolis. A nice amount of mozzarella in them and Parmesan, so the raviolis have a nice kick of salinity to them, or saltiness. And the tomato jam just pairs perfectly. I love the size of these. They're almost just like little bite-sized pieces. They're actually exactly perfectly bite-sized pieces, which is very nice because sometimes when you go to a restaurant, a bistro, or like a brasserie or something like that, or favorite Italian restaurant, they tend to give you really big ones, which is not a bad thing, but these are just like a perfect little 1-bite toasted ravioli. Really delicious. You can tell that the freshly made pasta does have freshly made dough. It crisps up just like if I were to make it from scratch. I've made tons of toasted crispy raviolis in my lifetime, and the dough is definitely quality, so Buitoni rocks on that. The breadcrumb technique that I did just kind of adds to that crispiness as well, just by giving kind of that little small dusting as opposed to like big chunks of the breadcrumbs. And then the rosemary that I mixed into it is actually a really nice little like floral flair to it. You can really taste that kind of herb flavor, which is really nice, especially with what's going on here. Really good with the shallots and the garlic. Super important to put enough of those into your tomato jam as you can, just because they add a lot of sweetness, and it just makes for a killer sticky, icky tomato dipping sauce. My kids are gonna love these. My wife is just gonna die for these. She loves stuff like this. And these would be beautiful for like a big occasion, just because you can knock them out. All you gotta do is bread it. You don't have to make the pasta or the raviolis. That would definitely be a big pain in the butt. Even though I have done that before, it's nice to be able to just go to the store, pick up some really good quality pasta from Buitoni, and you can knock out like a really good party appetizer that will definitely impress people. Plus, you know, it gives you some extra time for the jam, like I said in the video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I want to thank Buitoni for some stellar pasta, and they've just been great partners throughout this little video series. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed that. If you have, make sure you give this video a big old thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you guys like what I'm doing here. Comment down below for future video requests, things you want to see on my channel, and I will see you guys next time with another recipe. Later, folks.